Have you ever found yourself struggling to express exactly what you mean in English? Maybe you've been in a conversation where the words just didn't seem strong enough, or you settled for something simple, like good or bad, when you knew there had to be a better way to say it. Here's the thing. The words you choose can completely change how people perceive your message. Imagine saying I'm tired versus I'm absolutely drained. Both sentences mean the same thing, but the second one paints a clearer, more vivid picture. In this video, we're diving deep into the art of word choice. How to not only sound fluent, but also precise and expressive. Whether you are learning English to advance your career, connect with others, or just feel more confident, mastering word choice is the secret to unlocking the power of language. Ready to transform the way you speak and write in English? Let's take a closer look at the core idea. Words are more than just their dictionary definitions. They are alive, full of nuance and context, and they carry a power that goes beyond mere translation. Here's the thing about words. They are like icebergs. What you see in a dictionary is just the surface. Beneath that, there's a world of emotion, cultural context, and subtle meaning. Take the word cheap. On the surface, it simply means something that doesn't cost much. But in a conversation, cheap often implies poor quality or stinginess. If you say, "This shirt is cheap," people might think it's poorly made. On the other hand, saying, "This shirt is affordable," suggests it's reasonably priced and worth buying. Just one small adjustment, but it changes how you're perceived. Another great example is the difference between house and home. A house is just a structure, a building where people live. But a home? That's where emotions live. When you say, "I miss my home," you're not talking about the walls or the roof. You're talking about the warmth, the memories, and the people who make it special. Saying, "I miss my house," on the other hand, feels cold and detached. Let's get one thing straight. Knowing a word's definition is just a starting point. Imagine you're learning the word cool. On the surface, it means slightly cold. But if someone says, "That's cool," are they talking about temperature? No. They are saying something is impressive, stylish, or even desirable. This is where English becomes tricky but also exciting. Words carry what we call connotation, the emotional or cultural associations they have, and tone, the feeling they create. Let's break that down. Now think about thin versus skinny. Technically, they both refer to someone who isn't heavy, but thin is neutral. It's often seen as a compliment. Skinny, on the other hand, can sound critical or unhealthy depending on the context. So, why does this matter to you as an English learner? Because if you only focus on dictionary meanings, you will miss the hidden layers of communication. For example, saying, "I made a mistake," shows humility. Saying, "I messed up," feels casual and informal. And saying, "I blundered," sounds formal or old-fashioned. Each choice changes the tone of your sentence, and using the right word can make you sound more natural and intentional. Here's another angle. Imagine someone calls you a piece of work. In some cultures, that might sound like a compliment, but in English, it usually means you are difficult to deal with. Without knowing the cultural undertone, you might misunderstand or even misuse the phrase. To truly master English, you need to think of words as tools. Each tool has a specific job, and using the wrong one might make your message unclear or even offensive. It's not just about what you are saying, it's about how your words make people feel. Now, let's be real. A common hurdle for language learners is the habit of translating phrases directly from their native tongue. At first, this seems like the bridge to fluency, connecting the words you know with those you are striving to learn. Here's the snag though. Languages are far from direct equivalents. They embody a culture's history, idioms, and subtleties that don't always transfer neatly. Consider the simple greeting, "How are you?" In English-speaking cultures, it's often a conversational placeholder, a polite way to connect rather than a sincere inquiry into one's emotional health. Typically, the response is like, "I'm good, thanks. What about you?" If you were to reveal an elaborate tale of your troubles, it might bewilder your listener. In contrast, in other cultures, candidly sharing your personal trials in this moment might be a norm. Another example, saying, "I want to ask a question." While it's grammatically sound, it reads with caution. To a native speaker, it may come off as overly formal. A much smoother way to express this would be, "I have a question." And let's not forget idiomatic expressions, lingo that translates to gibberish if you flip them word for word. For instance, saying, "It's raining cats and dogs," merely indicates a heavy downpour. Go ahead and translate that literally into another language, and you will likely elicit confused stares and laughter. Similarly, when outsiders try to introduce idioms from their languages into English, they often clash with the lexicon, spawning perplexity and misunderstanding. The takeaway? Words are only a fragment of the jigsaw. Context, situations, speaker relationships, and cultural backgrounds plays a monumental role in what's appropriate to communicate. Simply put, direct translations tend to strip language of its heart, leaving you in an awkward spot. To conquer this barrier, immerse yourself in authentic English usage, watch movies, tune into podcasts, and observe the fluid cadence with which native speakers navigate conversations. For instance, when a character states, "Could you give me a hand?" it's far more natural in a casual setting than the clinical, "Can you help me?" These intricacies highlight the beauty of natural English communication. And then it's time to understand the real power behind choosing the right words. Words are tools for communication, but they are also a reflection of who you are, how you think, and how you want to be understood. The difference between saying something and saying it well can be the difference between making an impact and fading into the background. The power of words goes beyond simply stringing sentences together. They shape how your message is perceived, how deeply it resonates, and how it impacts those listening. Every word you use carries a tone, emotion, and intention. Imagine a situation where you need to apologize. You could say, "Sorry, I didn't come," which is straightforward but lacks depth. Or you could say, "I deeply regret not attending your event. I know it meant a lot to you." The second version not only conveys regret but also shows consideration for the other person's feelings. Word choice also affects how clearly your message is understood. For instance, when you say, "I'm upset," it's vague and leaves room for interpretation. Are you sad, angry, or disappointed? On the other hand, "I'm frustrated because I wasn't heard in the meeting" is specific, ensuring your message lands exactly as intended. Tone is another area where word choice plays a crucial role. Compare these two sentences. This report is full of errors. And there are areas in this report we can improve together. Both sentences aim to address the same issue, but the first feels critical and confrontational, while the second fosters collaboration and positivity. Words, when chosen thoughtfully, can de-escalate tense situations and create openness. Next, precision in language isn't just polite. It avoids misunderstandings. Consider the phrase, "I'm feeling blue." To someone unfamiliar with idiomatic expressions, this might be confusing or even taken literally. Clear, accessible language ensures your message reaches everyone effectively, no matter their background. Beyond clarity, your word choice can inspire and elevate your communication. Think of historical figures like Martin Luther King Jr., whose phrase, "I have a dream," continues to inspire generations. Imagine if he had said, "I have an idea" instead. The words we use can transform how people feel, think, and act. In a sense, every time you speak or write, you're choosing how others perceive you and your ideas. Words have the power to connect or divide, to clarify or confuse, to inspire or fall flat. By being intentional and thoughtful with your language, you can communicate with impact, authenticity, and purpose. Now that we understand why word choice matters, let's explore how you can make the most of this knowledge in your daily communication. It's not just about understanding the impact of words. It's also about being able to choose the right ones in any situation. Whether you are writing an email, giving a presentation, or having a casual conversation, the words you pick can make all the difference. So, how can you fine-tune your vocabulary to make sure it aligns with your message? Let's dive into some practical strategies to help you choose the right words every time. First, pay attention to how words are used in context. When you watch a movie, listen to a podcast, or read a book, don't just focus on the story. Listen for word pairings and phrases. For example, instead of saying "big mistake," you will notice native speakers say "huge mistake." Take note of these combinations called collocations and try to use them in your conversations. Secondly, build your emotional vocabulary. Words aren't just tools for communication, they are mirrors of emotion. Instead of always saying happy, experiment with words like thrilled, content, or ecstatic. You can do the same for other emotions. Think about how angry, irritated, and enraged each carry a different level of intensity. Practice expressing emotions with more precision in your writing and speech. Next, use a thesaurus with caution. A thesaurus is a fantastic tool for discovering new words, but be careful. Just because a word is a synonym doesn't mean it fits the context. For instance, cheap and affordable both refer to cost, but they evoke different reactions. To avoid awkward word choices, always check example sentences and how the word is typically used. Then, ask for feedback. When you are not sure if you have chosen the right word, ask someone for their opinion. Whether it's a teacher, a friend, or even an online language partner. Feedback helps you understand how your word choices come across. You will quickly learn whether a word feels natural or out of place. After that, of course, Practice, practice, practice. Think of language learning as a gym for your brain. To strengthen your word choice muscles, practice describing the same thing in multiple ways. Instead of saying, I'm busy, try, I'm swamped, or I'm tied up. When you are consistent, these phrases will start to flow naturally. Finally, you can learn from mistakes. Making mistakes is a part of learning. If someone corrects you or you notice confusion in a conversation, take it as a sign to reflect and adjust. Every mistake is a chance to refine your skills and get closer to mastery. Choosing the right words in English is an art, not a science. It's about thinking deeply, observing carefully, and experimenting fearlessly. Remember, every word you learn is a tool, and the more tools you have, the more precisely you can express yourself. So, start paying attention to the words around you. Notice how they are used, think about what they convey, and practice using them in your own way. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this deep dive into word choice, hit that like button, subscribe for more insights, and let me know in the comments what is the most challenging English word you have encountered. I would love to help you break it down. Never give up, stay positive, and stay curious. I will catch you in the next video. Bye-bye.